Hi everyone, I'm back. I thought I might have a little opportunity to squeeze in a couple more videos before all of the madness begins in my life very soon. So here we are. And I was cruising through pictures as I often do, and I came across this satellite image here. It's just a big long strip, and at first glance it looks, kind of strange, different shapes and things on there. And then upon closer examination, I'm starting to see the shapes of domes. And not only domes, but the dark dome that we're looking at right here in the middle has a pipe coming out of it, shooting a jet of water down. And when I first found this picture, it reminded me of one that I had seen before uh, from Joseph Skipper. And but I thought this one was different, so I went ahead and I just went into this thing full bore, and I thought come along and maybe throw in a couple of Joseph's pictures in. But when I went back and looked, it was actually the same exact picture. It wasn't a different one; it was the same one. And so I guess I can't take credit for this discovery. However, there are some great images in here that Joseph didn't share with us. But here it is, this great big dome with this jet of water coming out the pipe, and there's a hole in that dome, sort of a triangular hole. Is that some kind of a vent or something? And one thing I need to say is that these domes are not always, apparently, not always the perfect dome that you would think. It's not like just a perfectly round, perfectly shaped dome. Sometimes they're, in fact, most of the time they seem to be irregularly shaped. They're always semicircular, but they're not always as the perfect image of what you have in your mind as a dome. But here's a dome, and in fact, there's other domes in this picture. Right next to the obvious one is down below it is one of those irregularly shaped domes, and a lot of times you see these like white dots. That's just the way it's come out on the picture, and these are also domes. There's so much stuff in this picture, though. It's really hard to say, and of course, even though it's a gigapan picture, the definition isn't what we've been used to lately, and I think we've been spoiled lately in the last 6 or 7 videos, and we got to eventually get back to trying to squeeze out the definition on these pictures. But here's something. I don't think this circular thing in the middle is a dome. It doesn't look like a dome. It's kind of split in the middle. I don't know what it is. It has pipes coming off of it. And then to the right of that and up a little bit, there's a pipe coming, a large pipe with 3 white lines going over the top of it. You see that? I don't know if those are different kinds of pipes or, there's obviously no way to know. There's so much going on here, and I've spent quite a bit of time looking at this, and you just can't decipher everything that's going on, at least not with the type of definition that we have. And right next to these domes with the water jets are another very large dome. Again, it's semicircular. It's more oval shaped. And by the way, when we're looking at these domes, you can see the sunlight coming off of most of them, all in the same area on each dome. And some of these are clear, and some of these are not. And it's pretty hard to tell. This one here, this big one in the middle, looks like it might be clear. Actually, Joseph Skipper thought that it was, but I couldn't really say. It's really hard to tell. It's one of those things where you can sit and stare at this thing forever, and on one hand you say, oh yeah, it's absolutely clear, and then on the other hand you say, well, maybe not. So I'm not going to waste too much time on whether or not it's clear, but it is there. It's reflecting light down in that 7 o'clock position. And it also kind of seems to have a peak to it. Now here's a bunch of them. Look at them all. They're, and it's not just the domes, it's everything else that's in between too. There's just, this is so not natural terrain. I just don't know what to say. There's so many, I say that a lot lately. There's so many different kinds of existences on Mars. We've seen the big cities of the skyscrapers. We've seen people living in the cliff sides. We've seen people living out in the country. Now we have these domes. And there are lots of these domes. You can see where they are. Some are big, some are small. And then there's this other stuff in the middle that these stripes. It looks like tubes to me. Not so much the one right in the middle here, but the one to the left. Looks very much like those glass tubes that we've seen in the past as well. May or may not be. I have not found any instances in these pictures of the light glinting off of these tubes, as we've seen previously, where the light reflects off of what appears to be these glass tubes. It's all very, very intricate. You can just get lost going from item to item here and looking. It makes you wonder why that, with the diversity, why all of a sudden there's a huge, we'll call it a metropolis, with domes everywhere. Are they all connected from underground? Are they connected by these tubes? A lot of times you'll see pipes, or what appear to be pipes, going from one dome to another, like up towards the top there, coming down from 11 o'clock position. All kinds of tubes or pipes or whatever you want to call them. Just like some of the previous videos, it's really hard to talk about what we're seeing here because we can't tell exactly what it is we're looking at. It's too complicated. However, we can see the dome shapes, and I think those are real impressive and very obvious. And sometimes I find that I'm a little too close on the pictures, and it helps to kind of step back and see it again a little bit at a distance. But what's in these domes? Is that where they live? Do they grow food there? And then here is this very unusual tube-looking structure. And I've noticed that there are a lot of little craters around that appear to have no bottoms. They look like holes, just holes in the ground. So this tube here seems to be coming out of two different areas from the top right, comes together, and then comes back down and wraps around, goes back underground. What on earth could that possibly be? And how do you construct something like that? Let's just say that it's made. How do you construct that? Or let's say it's natural. How does nature do that? I don't know. Kind of reminds me of snakeskin. Have you ever seen that before? I grew up in an area where we've had rattlesnakes, and you find these big snake skins out there, and they pull them off and crawl out of them, and they look very much like that. I really hope these are not snake skins, because that really would be weird. But it wouldn't, it would surprise me. There's been so much to surprise me all the time. So I'm never going to say that it wouldn't surprise me, because it happens every day. Thanks for watching, everyone. Might be able to squeak out another one before the end of the month. Take care. See you soon.